So, you know, a $300 fix now turned into thousands of dollar fix because now you have you got drywall issues, you got, you know, it's destroyed cabinets, it's done flooring, it's done a lot. Water does a lot of damage.
In a relatively short amount of time. It doesn't even take very long. That's why we want to bring up plumbing inspections.
Never fear, All Pro is here.
Hey, welcome to the podcast today, the All Pro podcast. We are back, and this time we are going to talk about plumbing inspections and plumbing issues that you don't know you have, or maybe you do know you have. Either way,
they need fixed.
They need fixed.
Yes. Yeah.
There's lots of reasons they need fixed.
So is your guys' toilet running? Well, then you better go catch it. No, we need to talk about, leaks, right? Yes. Leaks is probably the biggest one as far as plumbing inspections go, because sometimes you may have stuff leaking and you may not even know it, because it could be a small leak, and even a small leak can cause some damage. It can cause a lot of damage, and then you probably might not even know you have a leak, because it might only be costing you maybe $10 a month, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Maybe just my utility bill went up. But that leak can, over time, can cause major damage, including just it can be a health risk.
Yeah, you know, yeah, absolutely. Because what does mold and mildew need? Humidity.
Yep, needs
water.
It needs water. It likes to grow in darkness and water. Right?
Yep.
Moisture.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. You brought up a point. You know, that toilet might cost you 10, and then as that leak gets worse and worse and worse and worse, it's just going to keep costing you more money. You're like, it's not a big deal. It's not. Yeah. It may not be leaking everywhere, but boy, it's in your pocketbook more than you know, because those can start running $100, $200, and then you start getting into slab leaks or under. And
that's just one. That could be just one toilet.
Yeah, just one toilet.
So if it's costing you, say, $10 a month, I mean, what would that be? $120 a year? I mean, you could do some things with $120. You know.
Well, that we do a lot of multifamily and apartments. Okay, so if they have 300 units, and 100 of them are running.
Yeah.
I mean, that starts adding up.
That's that's a good point. Property I talked to not that long ago, they said their water bill was $40,000 that month. So they knew that they had some water leaks somewhere, and they were trying to figure out where it was coming from, and we ended up finding a couple of leaks, and actually we didn't have to go through every single unit at that time. We were actually did some kind of like we went through a recon mission, right? We were we started asking questions. So
we're detectives.
We were being detectives, and we found out that, okay, well, this person over here was mentioning something they were hearing running water all the time. Like, well, that's probably a good place to start. So we started there, and we found some issues that were actually up above them, because, you know, apartments, they can be stacked above each other, which there's another thing. If you got a water leak and it's, you know, now you got multiple units that are getting affected by that. So
we've seen that happen. Oh yeah, we had one unit. It was a vacant unit in the lower unit, but the upper unit was leaking down. I mean, it was bad.
But nobody knew about it.
Nobody knew about it
because nobody was downstairs. Right?
Nobody was downstairs. So. Yeah, it was bad. That unit was demolished.
So, you know, a $300 fix now turned into thousands of dollar fix, because now you have you got drywall issues, you got, you know, it's destroyed cabinets, it's done flooring, it's done a lot. Water does a lot of damage.
In a relatively short amount of time. It doesn't even take very long.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the scary part of it. That's why we want to bring up plumbing inspections. Because
during the plumbing inspection, what do we normally do too, right?
Well, in a house, we're going to walk around. We're going to look at, you know, like the faucets and the lines underneath. Make sure there's not any small hidden things. Make sure we're not hearing a toilet running. Flush your water heater, which we just talked about, water heater maintenance. And those kind of general
things. Make sure shutoffs are working correctly, because there's nothing worse than you know, you get a leak going, and all of a sudden now your shutoff's not working.
Yep.
Right. And usually those happen. You find out about those because nobody's found out, okay, is my shutoff working properly? Is the shutoff getting ready to, you know, is there some problems going on with that shutoff? Maybe it needs replaced. Maybe it's still working, but maybe it's got some age to it, and there's some things that, you know, the next time you go to use it, guess what? It ain't working, and now you got water spraying everywhere for hours, until you can get somebody out there to shut the whole property off. So
Yeah, or you're trying to shut it off at the curb and you're
Yeah,
shutting down
yeah.
multiple units. I mean, it happens. Like sometimes they'll be trying to shut it off and that valve is so corroded and they're trying to push it, and then sometimes it'll break and it'll break. It won't just kind of break. It'll break.
Yeah,
and
so
if it's
yeah,
that
you got to
old
be careful with them
CPVC,
because
yeah.
they can break in the shut off position. Now you have no water. So
Mhm.
that's a problem too, because now you're like, okay, well, I fix whatever I was fixing or whatever, you know what I mean? I just shut it off, but now I can't get the water back on. So
Yeah.
it's good to get all that stuff looked at for
And
sure.
checked.
Yeah.
And another thing, especially on our multifamily properties, is checking the drains, finding like a hidden clogged drain, because there's nothing worse than all of a sudden you have a water leak and then you have a dry drain or a backed up drain. And now that water has
Yeah.
nowhere to go but up. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna flood.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
and
gonna
that's gonna
flood.
cause even more damage. So yes, even a drain being slow or backed up
Yep.
or something like that can cause a lot of damage,
Mhm.
depending on what else happens. So
Well, yeah, we actually have one right now we're working on. We have cleared this drain, probably drains, I should say, once a month. And it's because they have a laundromat there and they don't have lint traps on the drains. And we keep telling them you put lint traps, and they're finally doing it now.
yeah,
But that lint's just getting in the line and blocking it. And they're like, oh, it's flooding again. And then we're like, okay, we'll come clear it and,
Yeah.
and do that. But
Yeah.
finding the culprit of it, right? Like, especially laundry
Well-
drains are things that are going to get,
well, and if
yeah.
if properties have like a home or any kind of property that has a crawl space, I mean, you can be having some drain issues in there where something's busted or rusted through. We recently went to a property for that. They kept smelling a really bad smell and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Mhm.
And it had been like that for months. And of course, we get to investigating, and it was in a crawl space,
Mhm.
you know, and it was pretty nasty.
It was gross
Pretty-
because it
pretty
was a sewer
gross.
line.
I mean, it was a
and had
sewer
busted.
line.
They had no idea.
But could you imagine, like, by the time they even started realizing they had a problem, how much of a problem they were going to have
Mhm.
after that? If they would have got an inspection, we could find those things quicker.
Mhm.
We can find a problem. Say, oh well, we see this joint right here that's getting ready to, like, you really need to fix that, or it's going to
Mhm.
become a major issue.
Yeah, or
And
small
when
leak.
it does happen,
Yeah.
like, we can fix it then and there instead of it now causing an even bigger problem. That was a business too, wasn't it?
It was a business. Yep.
So now that
That was
there's-
3 or 4 businesses above it. They
Well-
shared that
well,
office
now
suite.
now they all have to shut down their businesses because you can't bring people in there with that kind of stuff going on.
No.
So now you're losing money that way. You know,
Yeah, it's not good.
and if you're a homeowner, it's the same thing. It's like this stuff can be happening underneath your house and you don't even realize it. It could
Mhm.
be creating mildew, mold type scenarios because now you got that drain.
Mhm.
It's water and other nasty stuff being drained underneath the house. I mean,
Yep.
so
Well,
these are all important things to most of the time you forget about it or you're not thinking about it because you don't see that stuff. It's always the stuff you don't see, with plumbing that can hurt you sometimes.
oh yeah. Well, the other thing is we also check sump pumps.
Oh yeah, sump pumps is a part of the inspection because if we want to check that thing, especially like before spring, like when everything is melting and you're getting a lot more rainwater, things like that. That's when your sump pump really starts working the most, right? And and you don't want that thing to you don't want that thing to be not working at that time,
Right, or
So
having issues.
you
and
want to maintenance those sump pumps too, by the way. So that's part of, like, we can inspect it to see where it's at, see how well it's working, see if there's a problem that could be coming up that maybe it hasn't been a problem yet, but now it is. But just doing a maintenance on those is important. So
oh yeah, huge. Be aware, we got a plumbing special. It's normally $120. We're knocking it down to $80 so we can come inspect your home and see what plumbing issues that you're having before they become plumbing disasters. And if you're a multifamily, give us a call. We will go ahead and give you a customized quote. You can use the promo code PLUM, PLMUB, and we will get you on the list to get inspected. We would also even check the yard.
Yeah.
which is a weird one, right?
Yeah.
Like, why
Yeah.
would we check the yard?
Yeah, if you're seeing like one part of your yard a little greener than the other, that could be a water leak, or a sewer drain pipe that has
Mhm.
come apart or something, something like that. So there's part of that inspection is that.
Yeah,
Normally
or
when we
big
do
puddles of
normally when
water.
we do an inspection, we also run a camera down the drains to see what that looks like. Like, is there a belly in the drain? Is there some problems with some roots maybe that are starting to grow in there? That kind of thing to really get an eye on it before.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of in-depth. there's light level inspections, and then there's deep level inspections where we're going to bring out the camera and the stuff like that, especially if somebody's had problems with drains before. There are different inspections that we offer for different reasons. Like, they're not just there to be there. It's we've seen the other side of this where we didn't get, that they didn't know they had a slab leak, and they had a really high water bill all of a sudden, and they have this big pool of water in the front yard or the backyard. They can't figure out why it's there. It'll leave clues. And sometimes it's not so subtle, or all of a sudden loss of hot water. That's another one too. The hot water line really likes to leak underneath slabs, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It does. And then all of a sudden they're like, my water's not very hot anymore.
Yeah. You're losing pressure, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's, definitely. There's a lot of things that go into a plumbing inspection, and just like even outdoor spigots. So, when we're doing an inspection with that, we make sure that they're opening and closing properly. Because a lot of times what happens with the outdoor spigots is people tend to like really tighten them really tight because they think they have to
manhandle them.
Yes, manhandle. They really have to to shut the water off. They got to really twist it really hard. So what that does, there's little rubber pieces and stuff in there. When you do that enough times, they start to leak. I mean, it's best just to turn it till it shuts off, and you're good. You don't keep going with it, and that's usually what happens. And that's why we see a lot of them leaking, and that's why we usually get a lot of calls about spigots in the springtime and summer, like early summer, because people are just now like, hey, I'm going to go wash my car. They turn it on, and then they find out it doesn't shut back off, and now they got running water. That's going to add up to your bill. Plus a flooded yard. So there's that.
You have that, or sometimes it floods behind it, which is the worst case scenario. So, in recap, plumbing inspections are important, and running water is not normal. Pools of water in your front yard, low water pressure, and a slow drain are not normal. If you have any of those four, for sure, get the plumbing inspection, or have somebody, if you're not in Indiana, have somebody do it, because those are signs that something's going wrong, and you want to find it before it goes really wrong. Thanks for joining us today on this episode. Next time, we're going to go ahead and do the motor style for HVAC systems. So join us so we can do a little education piece on that, but we hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time on the All Pro podcast, released every other Wednesday.
Thank you for watching or listening to the All Pro podcast. All Pro Heating and Air is your complete comfort solution. For more information on how we can help you save money with your heating and air systems, visit callallproindy.com.